Doomer, the next question from Big E is for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you could add one character from Adventures Anonymous 2 Journeys to shake things up, be that drama or comedy, who would it be and why?
Player character or non-playable character?
I would say a player character.
Player character.
What about one of each?
Well, the NPC would be our little fox mechanic.
Yes!
And the player character, Burley.
Oh.
Burley and Garganoth would have got along so well.
Oh, Burley and Garg would be best friends.
They'd be brothers.
Oh my god, they would be brothers. They would find out that they are related somehow and be brothers. Oh.
Yes, that's my answer.
Burley!
It's perfect.
Oh, it's so perfect.
And only a few of you understand that reference. Do you feel cool?
I don't think anybody except
No.
maybe one or two other people are going to get that reference.
Yes, we all miss Burley.
Oh, Miss Burley. He's doing well, though. I talk to him periodically, and he's going through it right now, but every time we talk, he always extends his greetings.
But yeah, that's my final answer.
Well, next question is also for you. The dice have smiled. What advice would you give a new DM who wants to homebrew their campaign?
First piece of advice, you don't have to have everything written in stone. It's your world. It can change as you go, and no one else will be the wiser. If something feels like it needs to be 2 miles up the road, make it 2 miles up the road. If it feels like it needs to be 10 miles west, make it 10 miles west. The part of making a world that feels like it's alive and that there are consequences is malleability. Change is a good thing. And letting other people incorporate their stories into your world and letting those stories change how your world operates, wonderful. But aside from that kind of advice, if you're homebrewing and not using a module, official module that has all the information there for you, my clerical, more boring advice is to get a list of about 20 names and have it conveniently within arm's reach to your left, because they're going to ask you names of characters that you just made up in your head 2 seconds ago.
And not everyone can be Bob.
And not everybody can be Bob or Steve or Jeff.
Or Carl.
Or Carl.
Everybody can't be Carl.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Again, it's not a mistake unless you tell everybody it's a mistake.
There's no such thing as a mistake, just happy little accidents.
Exactly. It's your world. Do what you want with it. But always remember that even if it is your world, don't hold the reins so tightly that nobody else can guide the boat. Don't railroad your players just because it's your world. Let them explore. And the more they explore, that means they're engaged with your world. They want to learn more about your world. The more questions they ask, take it as a compliment. Don't take it as a burden that, oh, now I got to figure this out, or now I got to figure that out. You know, the more your players interact with your world, the more they're enjoying it. And yeah, that's what I would say. Have confidence in your creation and flaunt it.
If I may add some advice that my mother gave me a long time ago when trying to fake confidence: head up, shoulders back, tits out. No one has to know.
Yeah. Shoulders back, tits out. I mean, there's really no other advice anyone needs. And on that overwhelmingly positive note, Akami, this question is for you. What is your favorite monster to throw at a party?
Ooh. So that is a question that is, I'm not going to have a specific answer. I'm not going to be able to tell you chittering ribbon worm.
Wish you wouldn't.
That's why I'm not going to say
That's why she didn't ask me.
it. I would say my favorite monster to throw at my party is, for Adventures Anonymous, specifically Invictus Sanctum, is going to be anything undead. Because that's just very thematic for the groups that they've been fighting. For my Straw Hat Pirates, it's going to be things that are going to be more foresty, for lack of better phrasing. It's going to be more like packs of wolves. It's going to be ice sprites, things like that. Group B, we never really got much into them, but it was a lot more of the groups. It'll all depend on my narrative. But if you're gonna make me pick one specific item, it's going to be an adult black dragon.
Perfect.
Or specifically, an adult shadow black dragon with an ego.
We love an ego.
I still love that we both had one of those. I still think that's the funniest fucking thing on the planet.
Mr. Sir Duck would like to know from both of you, how many times have you had to play off a scene, making the players think it was your idea when in reality the players suggested it and you simply stole the idea?
Stealing the idea is a little harsh of a word.
I think we both prefer the term appropriated.
Creatively appropriated.
We acquired the creative license to it.
Honestly, what DM doesn't do that? I mean, the players give you backstories, and you take those backstories and you put them into the world, and But no, seriously, it's not something I keep track of. I mean, it's happened a couple times, but not for like malevolent reasons. It's more to make them feel like they are part of the world, and that they get that little epiphany moment, even if it might not be fully true, that, oh, I figured this out and it was totally my idea, and I figured out something that nobody else did, and secretly the DM hadn't even figured that out yet, but now, yes, you figured it out. You saw the context clues that was never supposed to add up to everything, but now it does.
Yeah.
And it just happens to be that exact thing that you mentioned right there. Yep.
Conveniently. Do you remember that thing that you mentioned 4 sessions ago? No, I sure do.
That chip in the teacup that was pointed due north by northeast. Yep, that pointed straight to that secret door. Yes, it did.
100%. It totally wasn't supposed to be the handle, and I just mentioned the chip first, so that's what you focused on.
Yep.
Yeah, my answer's pretty much the same as Doomy's. I can't give you any specifics for when that would have happened. It just kind of naturally progresses.
You know what? Yes, sometimes the backstories need a glossary, a table of contents, sightings for their work, and a quick search bar.
Index for terms, like not even just a glossary, but like frequently used terms, an index, a translation guide.
Those are feel great. Targeted, Doomer, and I refuse.
You know how you feel in this moment, that's all on you.
Hey, if the shoe fits.
We made an agreement not to call any one person out in this.
And we're not. Viewer, if you are taking this upon yourself to admit and confess now.
I confess nothing, but I know that Doomer is talking about me. I know it. It's not paranoia. It's just fact.
Is that what we're calling that?
Anyway.
I have now quelled my backstories down to 0 pages. Thank you. Doomer, this next question is for you.
Oh boy.
Thoughts on a modern campaign with up-to-date or futuristic technology?
Ooh.
I will be AFK for just a moment.
I've tried
Goodbye.
a modern campaign once before. I didn't like the system we were using. I don't remember exactly what it was, but someone had taken the D&D classes and kind of modernized them into usefulness and such in a modern world. It's hard. Like, you can't doing realistic modern is very difficult because part of the fun, at least for me, with D&D characters are they have so many abilities and magic is just cool. I mean, but there's so many abilities to be used and it's all because it's a fantasy setting. Like, you know, it's that's just what it is. And trying to come up with a class system for the modern world is just so difficult. And like I said, I've tried it. I didn't come up with it, but I've tried someone else's system before, and it was just, I don't know. For me, the wonder wasn't there because it's like, oh, these are all things that I deal with in day to day life. Like, I have a cell phone, and I have this, and I have access to this, and I don't know. I D&D is an escape, and while I might be up for something like in the Fallout universe, which is like post-apocalyptic but also 1950s. That could be really fun. I don't see myself playing long in a world or campaign based around modern day. It just it's not escapism for me that way. It's I don't know. For me it's boring. Other people may enjoy it. Other people may like it and be able to do like current events and things like that all to their heart's content, but for me I'm a fantasy sci-fi guy and that's where I feel best.
Sci-fi could be futuristic.
True. And I have to admit I did watch on Critical Role. Ashley Johnson did like a alien-esque like sci-fi thing, which was kind of cool. I didn't quite understand it all. I'd love to see like the actual physical rule set for that, to see like the classes laid out and stuff. But again, like I don't know, there's something about magic and casting spells that's just has me. And like I've done Star Wars sessions which are fun, and I've played in like the Dragonlance universe. The Star Wars was fun because you could be a Jedi and have magic powers, and some of the tech was like having magic powers, but yeah, I don't know. Modern just doesn't do it for me. It's not my thing. I've not been huge into that.
Right on. Well, the dice want us to continue down your road there, Doomer. What is your advice for stopping metagaming in a party?
This is very difficult. I mean, with me, I have a way of keeping notes. Um, I have one of those notebooks that has like the line drawn down the middle of the page, and I usually keep all of my character notes on the left-hand side of the page, and then I'll make little like player notes to those character notes, like, such and such happens, and then over here it's like this is the same guy that um your other party member met in town, but you weren't there, so keep that in mind. That's how I do it myself, so I don't accidentally remember something that I'm not supposed to remember. But oof, as a DM with other players, it's hard. It really is, because at the end of the day, it's more of a self-policing thing. Like, as a DM, it is difficult to keep track of what everybody should know and what everyone shouldn't know as players and characters. And I totally see nothing wrong with stopping a session for a moment and looking at a player and saying, hey, your character probably wouldn't know that. I mean, you know that, but your character probably wouldn't. So why don't we phrase that sentence a little differently?
Mm-hmm.
And some people might feel like that's being called out at the table, but honestly, it's just trying to keep the game honest. Anything like that, talking to a player is best. And if corrections in game, like during the session, aren't working, talking to them out of game. And then if they continue to have an issue with it, I mean, it's D&D is a cooperative role-playing game. Key word being cooperative, and that means everybody has to communicate and get along together. And sometimes words are what needs to be said. And yeah, I would say just talk to the player and try your best to help them uh, keep in mind what they should and shouldn't know, and explain to them the importance of that. Um, no player character is omnipotent, and you shouldn't play them that way.
So, what about a Ghostbusters modern day campaign?
Oh, see, that's tough. It could be fun, and I've seen people try and do some rule sets. I've read 3 or 4 different rule sets for like the tech and stuff. I wouldn't DM a Ghostbusters modern day campaign. I might play one just to see, because now that I'm thinking about it, we did do a campaign with Okami, and I made a Power Ranger out of the D&D class of a warlock. It wasn't exactly modern day. I mean, the character had knowledge of modern day, but it wasn't in a modern day setting, so I don't really count that. But Ghostbusters modern day campaign could be so much fun. Could even be fun, like having the Ghostbusters fall into the D&D world, into a haunted dungeon. I mean, that could be interesting.
That'd be fun.
Interesting.
But
would you say that they would all have at least some paladin multi-class in them?
the Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, turn undead could be seen or work that way. Maybe not making them go away, but using the proton pack to pull them in. Honestly, the best class suited for the Ghostbusters would probably be 2 artificers, a bard, and a multi-class jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vankman as the bard, Winston as the jack of all trades, and Spengler and Stans as the artificers. So it could be done. I now have a side project.
I counter and I say that anything can be made into a D&D game if you're creative enough. So,
oh, yes.
if anybody wants to run a Jurassic Park at least one shot, please call me. Or BioShock, because I think that would be heckin' fun.
Ooh, BioShock.
BioShock could be interesting.
Ooh. Also, I just want to put out for the record, Doomy, you picked the one single Power Ranger that I am gonna pick out anywhere.
It took you a little bit. It took you a little bit.
The only reason it took me a little bit is because of the name. Had you phrased the name differently, I would have picked up on it instantly.
I couldn't.
And the only reason I picked up on it that quickly is because I had the hugest crush on him as a kid.
Yep, most of us did.
I mean, how could you not?
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
All right. Now, this next question to me is really exciting. If it's for both of you, if you could have any celebrity, I would say alive,
Dang it.
play at your table, who would it be?
Henry Cavill. All hail the king.
That man would not be allowed away from my table.
I'm torn. My first idea was Vin Diesel, since I know he's played before.
Ooh, that would be
so
fun.
Yeah.
And my second
Also,
idea
would be
is-
trapped at the table.
My second idea, I can't remember his name, but that guy who does like all the Disney voices on YouTube.
Ooh, yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
I think having him at the table doing voices of his characters and everything would just be so much fun.
Ooh, you know another good one would be Terry Crews.
Oh my god, yes. Terry
I think
Crews
that
would
would
be
be
amazing.
So fun. Have you seen him draw?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
The hidden talents of Terry Crews.
Yep. Yep.
What
I
a
agree.
spectacular individual.
I feel like Robert Downey Jr. would be really fun too.
Yeah.
I think my first choice would always be Matthew Lillard
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
or the collective of Jox Machina. Okay. This next question comes from Calico for both of you. And what is your favorite NPC that you've made?
That's tough.
That's right. It's out here asking the hard hitting question.
Oh,
So many.
there's so many good ones. And there's so many bad ones that are just fun. And there's so many good ones.
You know what? I'm sorry. It's the three shrubs. The little soft-spoken healer flower, the old grizzled stump mage or wizard, and the young bright-eyed lively bush fighter. Like, I can't. They're great.
Ooh, I've got three for a different reason because I just can't pick between them. We've got Tina, our fox mechanic, just because she's hilarious and I love that character and she's just so goofy and weird.
And she sounds like this no matter when she's talking to you because her voice is so high because her chest is so small.
Hmm.
And even when she's in fox form, she talks like any normal person does, and she will sass you.
And her whole workshop is themed around her disability to where she can access everything as a fox.
Love it.
And of course we have Sylvie, we have the baby dragon that traveled with you guys for so long, who is now on his way home after taking a big hit trying to help Augie, and has realized that adventuring is not for him. And then just, of course, I have to say Opal, just because of how important he became. He was supposed to be a one-off. He was not supposed to be interesting.
Know what you want from us. You introduce a hot drow.
I didn't even introduce a hot drow. I introduced a sad cinnamon roll. And these guys were like, what's this? A lovable NPC? Mine.
You know, I'd have to add Jessamine to my list too, but it feels almost like cheating because she's kind of a character I play on a video game, so it's like. But yeah, Jessamine's a lot of fun.
I personally think that Terriana should be on there as well.
I thought about it, but I felt it was too obvious.
I mean, who cares if it's obvious?
Terry's a good character.
Terry's awesome.
We need more Terry.
We need to figure out a way to put Terry and Tina in a room together.
That's a world-ending cataclysm.
I think you mean that is going to create a brand new world.
Oh no.
Chocolates and fireworks.
Chocolates, fireworks, and gambling. Oh, and then we can add Halstrom into the mix.
Oh
God.
no. The mortal plane will cease to exist.
So what I'm hearing is multiverse crossover.
Oh, hell.
All right. We're dwindling down. We're at the last couple questions.
Oh my
How are you guys feeling so far?
I literally just looked at the clock and it saw that we'd been up here for 3 hours. But if there's 2 left, we can finish the list.
Okay. There's 3. How do you feel about 3?
3 is not a couple.
You know, in some places.
You asked how I felt about 3.
All right. Last question from Mr. Sir Duck for both of you. Do you prefer more pre-written story or simply rely on dice rolls to make a scene?
Ooh.
Ooh.
This is probably not a great question to ask me because I write story based on if they fail. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of my pre-planning and prepping is this is what happens if they fail. This is what happens if they succeed this roll.
Yeah, ooh.
For me, having a lot of planned story, even though I know 2/3 of it will never be seen by the players, is good for me because as a DM, you're keeping track of so much at once, and having one less thing in a night to keep track of can help you keep your sanity. But having the dice rolls are also important because it makes the characters feel like they have agency, and there's just a tension with the dice roll that you can't get anywhere else. You know, will this person let me pass because they bought my story about delivering a piece of unleavened bread with mushrooms and cheese on top of it to the mayor? And it's just, I'd say you gotta have both. You gotta have both.
Yeah. I agree. Cause to just have one without the other, it doesn't feel right. To have the story written out and to tell your players, you know, this is what you're going to be doing. Here's how this is going to go, no matter what you want, no matter what you say. That doesn't feel like they're actually getting to play a game. That just feels like you're writing a book with extra steps. And to just solely rely on dice rolls kind of feels the same, but the other direction. If you don't have any plan for where you're going, what you're doing, and your characters or your players are the only ones coming up with everything, you don't have a story to tell.
Oh, and coming up with stuff at the seat of your pants gets exhausting really quick if you're doing it for most of the campaign.
It's so tiring, and even if you're just doing it for most of one session, I write out. I'm not quite as detailed as Dewey is when it comes to writing out if they pass, if they fail, but I'll have a lot of stuff pre-written, and there's still been sessions where I'm doing everything by the seat of my pants, and I'm just exhausted afterwards. So to try to do that for a whole campaign, I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Good question, though.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
it's a good thinker question.
Akami,
Uh-oh.
for you, without spoilers, which part of your map are you most excited for your group to explore?
I am actually most excited for my group to go back to an old location because of some things that have happened that I think is going to be really interesting, because this is from the beginning of the campaign, and I'm really excited to see what their reaction is. 2 particular characters I'm really excited to see what their reaction is going to be to how things have changed.
Are you ready for the last question?
No, I'm not emotionally ready for this.
Is it the same question just directed at me?
No, it's not. It is for both of you.
Although I'm curious, though, for Doomy, what is the most exciting part of your map that, without spoilers, that we have yet to explore?
Yeah, we could take a pivot.
We've been doing it all night. Might as well. Why would we stop now?
The Roaring Mists. This is in the northwestern, almost north central western section of the map. On the road between the Solarian Academy and I can't remember that other town over by the coast.
Have we come close?
Um,
We've been by the academy, right?
No, we haven't been by the academy yet. Jason's been very adamant about avoiding that place altogether. No, yeah, I mean, Mia and Jason would have flown over it in their off time, but yeah, it's a very large area on the map that is enshrouded in mists, and yeah, if we ever get that far, I would love to see how our party handles that place.
Intriguing.
I think I have a character who's actually staying at the academy.
Yeah.
But my Aaron Cocker Bard, I think he's still there.
Pivot over.
Pivot back.
Are we ready for the last question?
Yes.
Okay, for both of you. What would you like to say to your players?
Get therapy. All of you.
Please place your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye.
Thank you.
No. Seriously, folks. Seriously.
Kiss your butts goodbye. Oh, God.
To my players, I want to thank my players for giving me the last few years that have been so much fun creating and writing and just entertaining almost once a week, sometimes twice a week. And the amount of support and encouragement that my friends have given me through not just D&D, but the project of setting up these channels and DuWo and streaming and getting me out there. We're a team. And I will say this till I'm blue in the face or until you guys believe me. DuWo is not mine. DuWo is everybody. Everyone who contributes to DuWo, it is ours. DuWo may have started, the abbreviation was Doomy's World, but it's come a long way since then, and this is us. And just want to thank everyone for being a part of it with me.
And to kind of...
That was beautiful.
Adorable. And to echo Doomy's thoughts, including put your head between your knees and kiss your butts goodbye. Also, I don't apologize for what I'm about to do to all of you. But thank you for giving me a chance. For coming on this journey with me as I discover how to be a DM kind of again. Because I had been a DM before for online groups, but it was always very disjointed, very non-committal. And to have this group that we have and the whole of DuWo. Thank you everyone for sticking with it as long as you have. for sticking with me as long as you have, and continuing to go on this journey. Thank you, especially Doomy, for forcing me to put myself out there, because you were far more confident than I was that I would be able to do this, and you were right. And I will always be grateful for you taking the chance to be like, hey, come do this with me. Come join this. Be a part of this. And for everyone who has been with us as we evolve.
I think that is a wonderful sentiment to wrap up tonight's talk. I would like to thank everyone who tuned in for showing up and showing out for our DMs tonight. I'd like to thank our DMs for coming with your sass, but also your vulnerability. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to share this time with you. So, without further ado, let's do a recap. Check out our socials. We'll be back next week. I'm your host, Try. This has been DuWo Talk, DMing with the DMs. Thank you, and have a good night.